Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Njeri and Ballen series, where we're discussing the importance of networking and the importance of relationship building. My name is Njeri, and I am a graduating senior strategic communication major from St. Louis, Missouri. And today we'll be speaking with Dr. Ford, who's one of the coolest teachers in Scripps Howard.
Great introduction, Joanne. Hello, everyone. My name is Ballen. I'm a graduating senior strategic communications major with an area of emphasis in psychology. We are more than welcome, and we have the absolute pleasure of having Dr. James Ford, who is a professor at Hampton University. He teaches journalism and communications 110. It's a media and a writing course. He also has taught crisis communications in the past. And Dr. Ford, what else is it that you teach? I don't want to miss anything.
I teach reporting and news writing, as well as media ethics. And
correct, media ethics.
You're in my media ethics class right now.
We both are, right. We both are. Right.
And so, media ethics is so important in terms of, the working journalists, the neophyte journalists, if you will, student, and we understand what that is about, Jared.
Correct.
The student journalists, I think they have an obligation to understand all that they're getting into. And I'm that point person at this point in their 4-year career study to let them know partially of what they're getting into. I'm one person in the network of people that they have established at Hampton University in the Scripps Howard School of Journalism and Communications.
So definitely. So as we previously mentioned, we are so glad that you're here, Dr. Ford. And we first want to start off with the question, how would you describe the phrase, your network is your net worth?
Well, it's interesting that you would ask that, because I just got finished talking about being one person in your extensive network. I'm sure you've had several faculty members, you've had a number of guest speakers during your tenure through the Scripps Howard School. And I think that even with all of those people, you have been able to hone in and pull something from each of them. And, that's very important, because that most important point, that most significant point, or that most significant teachable moment has resonated with you over and over again. So that becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of you as you develop, Jared, into that professional that you aspire to be. And so when you get to that level, when you get to that point where you said, I've made it, I've reached, my objective, I've reached my summit. And then, you realize that there's much more to it than just you.
Mm-hmm.
There have been people who poured into you all this time. And those lessons have been a part of you throughout your training and throughout the beginning, the middle part, and the end of your career. And you will realize that once you go through those phases. And so in the end, it's, that's your net worth. That is your net worth. When you look at net and gross, you know how gross and net work. And gross is everything, but that net is what's left after some of those other things, be they bad or indifferent, come out. But I submit to you that even the bad experiences that you've had, possibly with the professor, possibly with some close friends, you've learned from those as well. So even if you don't, even though you may not carry those same burdens, you know, and you've gotten rid of some of the people that you hung with, or some of the people that you just needed to get out of your life so you can move on, you still have learned from them. And therefore, it's your net worth.
I agree with that 100%. And I think that is great insight and very much so true, because I can definitely attest to some of the examples and some of the points that you have made.
I definitely agree as well with everything you said, especially with, growth being everything. And so my question would be, what are some good ways that a student can build a relationship with their teacher? And are there some do's and are there some don'ts that you want to share with everyone?
Well, first of all, I think, Joanne, it starts with respect. Respect for authority, respect for experience, respect for that person having respect for you as a student, as someone who wants to learn, as someone who wants to uh, get where you have gotten to. I get told that a lot. And so I respect students. They're wanting to, learn and be a part of society and make a meaningful contribution. I respect for them wanting to do that. If it's something that I really, really hate, and I'm not a big hater of anybody or anything, but it's to see a student who has the ability to succeed and just will not apply himself or herself, just doesn't want to put in the work, the time, the effort to get to that goal of success or academic achievement or whatever it is that they're looking to do. It's really a sad commentary that we still have people, we still have young people walking around today with as many of the conveniences that we do have, who will not take advantage of opportunities. So, I really think that it starts with having respect for individuals and then working with them. And as I work with them, I must model the way. And in modeling the way, I think a trusted relationship is built as I model the way. And I have to be somewhat transparent with them and telling them that, hey, some of the experiences that I've had were not all pristine, were not all good. I've had some lows and I've had some lower than lows. And you don't have to go into detail, but you do have to let them know that you have had your share of problems, of troubles, of challenges, and they will come as a part of life, as a part of maturing into an adult, into a professional, into someone who's going to lead a family perhaps one day. You know, when we get jobs after we've gone through our preparation phase at Scripps Howard, people expect us to come to be ready, to be ready to do the job. That's an expectation. And every Hamptonian that leaves these hallowed grounds, that's the first expectation, is that your character, is that your competence, and that your caring attitude for each other, for one another, for humans, will be a part of your work ethic, will be a part of the overall impression that you make on your employees, on your coworkers, peers, and your employers.
We agree with that. I very much agree with everything that you were saying. I think it's important to remain cognizant of all those things as we matriculate not only through our academic experience, but professionally as well. I think that's very important to keep in mind. And with that being said, you make me think about my story with me and you. Just I remember that I needed to be added to your course, your Jack 110 course. And I remember coming to your office and right away, instead of just strictly going into the course matter and getting added in, you and I had a brief conversation. And through that conversation, we found a lot of similarities and commonalities. Knowing some of the same people, I had some relatives that went to school with you. And from that point on, we, I think, developed much more of just strictly uh, business-like relationship. It became more personable. So I see in the hallways, it was a little bit more intimate. In the classroom setting, we'd have side conversations. I talked about my father more with this profession. So with me going that extra mile, and you going that extra mile as well to create that personal relationship, I think that's made our connection, our network, that's much stronger in the end. So that is something that I was thinking about throughout this conversation.
Well, Jared, and that's good because I reflect back on those times as well. And you know, the thing about it is about communication, man. It's all about communication. It's all about talking to people. Um, I was remarking to my media intro class, the Jack 110 class. I said, you guys don't talk enough. And you know, I have a problem with your not talking because you know there were times that we could not talk, and now in present day society is not one of those times that we should just you know uh, just be, we're in enough isolation as it is with COVID and you know this virtual and remote learning environment that may not be the best environment that's conducive to you know the most optimal level of learning. And I said, you guys need to talk while you have a chance. You need to share with each other. And as you share with each other, Jared, as you and I have done, we learn about each other. We learn what those things are that are common between us, or we learn about the indifferences, you know, but we won't know that unless we talk. And you know, I'm sitting there in class and I ask a question and there's dead silence. And then all of a sudden, 5 seconds, 10 seconds later, I hear, you know, somebody typing in the chat session. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You're going to open up your cameras today and you're going to speak. You're going to open up your mics and you're going to speak. I don't want an answer just put into the chat box. To me, that's disrespectful. And if that's my standard, I can call that disrespectful. I'm talking to you. Talk back to me.
And
You
there's
know,
nothing wrong, we know, with like having your standard at all. Cause I know, you know, I know with your class you don't play. And like my story with Dr. Ford is I actually transferred into Hampton September 2019. So when we first met, it was like kind of like talking about a subject that we weren't seeing eye to eye on. And after that, we just became like this. Like I'd see him in the hallway, I'd say hello, I'd go to his office, I'd get some candy. He gave out his number in class, so I definitely used it. Like text him every now and then, like, "Hey, how are you doing?" You know, all of that. And that's you know, just the ways to really build that good relationship is, you know, taking those extra small steps. And don't only hit your teacher up when you need something. Say hello, checking on them. Like we sometimes forget that teachers are literally humans, just like you. So the same way, if you haven't spoken to someone in 5 months and they hit you up like, "Hey, can you do this and this?" It's like, you know, that's the same way teachers feel. So just, you know, keep that communication. And I like to just honestly say thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Dr. Ford.